Welcome to the Mayan Dream Spell. So today we're moving into a new wave spell, so a new 13-day period. And we've just come out of what's known as the Blue Eagle wave spell, which was a essentially 2-week period that was about reconnecting with our why. Why are we doing what we're doing? You know, and that's very relevant to many of us as we're moving in a new world now where all the whys that used to drive us, you know, like in the traditional idea of, you know, retirement, getting to this place where I can just have my superannuation or whatever you call it in your country, you know, this kind of retirement fund that the government would look after, and we'd get to this point and we could all just rest happily ever after in our caravans driving around Australia or whatever your thing was. Those whys are falling away and not really effective anymore because they're very synthetic whys. They're very superficial ideas. And we're being called to actually get deeper in touch with what is it that drives you? What is it that gets you out of bed? So we've been on a deep journey with that for the last 2 weeks. Now, today symbolizes the beginning of the Yellow Star Wavespell. So that's 2 weeks or 13 days dedicated to bringing elegance and art to your everyday life. Now, I like to think of this Yellow Star Wavespell as the cosmic scientist. Many, when they look at these code words that come with the yellow star, you know, they see art, beauty, and elegance. And they associate these naturally, of course, with the idea of an artist with a canvas, you know, that you know, a very right brain type of creativity. And the more you dive into this dream spell work, into these ancient Mayan archetypes, and you see how they're relevant to the modern day transformations that are happening, what it really calls for me is it calls us to get in touch with more what I'd like I say, the cosmic scientist, more like a Leonardo Davinci style artist, a polymath. And to me, Leonardo Davinci is a great example of what happens when you take the left brain logic and you combine it with the right brain intuition, the right brain creativity. When you have too much right brain in your creativity, you get amazing artists, but often they're very scattered and chaotic and, you know, have a hard time grounding their work in the world and moving it forwards into something more manifest. And then you have the left brain side of things, which left brain logic tends to lead towards your traditional scientists, right? That kind of left brain scientist that's all about, well, these are the numbers, this is what's real, and if it's not a data or a digit and I can't touch it, then it can't be real, right? And the problem with that kind of science is, how do you discover science? How do you discover new things if you are not able to imagine outside of the box of what we think that we already know? And so this is why I feel we're going through a renaissance right now in our world. And I think blockchain is facilitating that. And I think what we're going to see is an absolute necessity for us to begin to take that left brain and right brain and join them together. Kind of like taking science and religion and science and spirituality, which feels a little better to say, and start weaving them together through art, through our creativity. Allowing the left brain, the right brain, the masculine, the feminine, they need each other. These elements, these archetypes. Without the structure of the masculine, the intuitive beauty and magic and weaving of the feminine falls apart and cannot be held and is not safe. And without that feminine intuitiveness and grace, then the masculine just weaves structures that ends up strangling itself until it can't survive. Ends up locking itself into places where it doesn't belong. And so this next 13 days in the Yellow Star Wavespell is an opportunity for us, because we're actually closing off a 260-day cycle of the Mayan Tzolk'in. So it's a 260-day cycle that we're tracking here. And this is the last 13 days. And what that means is that this yellow star always comes at the end to look at what has happened over the last 247 days. So the last 247 days, basically 9 months, if you want to simplify that. Approximately 9 months, the birthing process of a fetus into the world. That's what the Tzolk'in is tracking, that kind of time frame. So if you look back over the last 9 months and look at all the challenges that you've come up against, all the things that feel like it's really pushed you to the limits, And also look at all the things that have lit you up. What amazing things have happened during that time. Now, go back over that 9 months. And what you can do is you can actually take all of this experience, this human experience that you've been through, and you can gather it together and use those experiences as the palette for your creativity, as the colors for the painting that you're going to be making over the next 2 weeks. And just like, you know, the ancient indigenous Australians, Aboriginals here in Australia, they would, you know, get ochre and these different kind of substances, and they would crush them up and prepare them. And in some ways, that's kind of like what our life experiences are. We go through this process of experiencing pain, anguish, grief, but then we also experience love, passion, bliss, and all of these different colors. And we crush them up through our daily experience. And then we have an opportunity now to take all of those colors of the last 9 months, using the blue eagle energy of the last 2 weeks, that vision you've been connecting to now decide, how do you want to remember this 9 months? What can you extract? What juice and beauty can you extract from the last 9 months? And how can you weave it together to create a new storyline for yourself? To move out of a victim storyline where it feels like I am a victim of my outside circumstances, I am trapped, I am stuck, I am whatever it might be. How can you take that intensity of your past experience and begin to weave it like a cosmic scientist, looking at what has happened and find the patterns? You know, just like, you know, behind me you see this beautiful, I believe it's an agave plant. But I mean, look at the mathematics in that. That is pure sacred mathematics. All around me in this nature, you know, I'm surrounded by mathematics. Art is mathematics. It is pure beauty. Even if you think about when they studied beauty, they studied the human face, and they looked at what people found beautiful. And one of the most interesting things was that for people to find a face beautiful, it couldn't be too perfect. There had to be slight inconsistencies in the symmetry. You know, one eye slightly higher than the other, or something slightly out. If things were too perfect, then they stop being beautiful to them. They become almost synthetic and artificial. And so this isn't just an imaginative concept. This is mathematics. There's an actual mathematics to that. And there's a mathematics to everything that's all around me. You know, this beauty and this magic of nature. So this is why we say the cosmic scientist, because it's all about being open with your right, to be led by your right brain, to be led by your intuitive nature, to find your way of where to look, and then using your left brain to weave what you find into patterns, to look for the pattern, to follow the patterns, and then create structures that allow that creativity to be perceived by others. So over these next 2 weeks is an opportunity to rewrite your story. And so I highly recommend taking some time to journal, to create, or even just to sit and have a cup of tea. And, you know, nature is a great inspiration for this process, because you see, you know, beauty in action. So please do enjoy this wave spell. It is the end of a 9-month birthing process. There's a lot of things coming together. It's a great time for reflection and for celebration. And then I'll see you in the wave spell that follows as we give birth to the new cycle. Thanks for following, and feel free to comment in the video below. We'd love to hear from you.